We're good?
1 second, live video starting.
Okay, we're live. All right. Okay, it is a little after 2 o'clock, and we're gonna get this started because there is another event that follows up after the city event that we're all here for. So, this event is sponsored by the Urbana Lions Club. So thank you to the Lions Club for putting this together for everybody. My name is Mitch McDonough, and I'm a former mayor of the city of Urbana, and I was asked to moderate the event, so that's why I'm here. I've sat through 3 of these in my lifetime of being on your guys' yellow side of the table. I've never asked the questions, so I'm on the other side, familiar with how the process goes, and we're gonna get right into it. Kind of run through some ground rules, if you will. This is not a debate. This is an opportunity for the community to get to know you as candidates, the positions you're running for, as we get closer to the upcoming city election. If the audience has questions for the candidates that haven't already come in ahead of time, which we had several that came in ahead of time, I'm sure the candidates will be happy to engage anybody that has questions following the event. We're gonna run right up to 2 o'clock, and then there's gonna be a gap to get ready for the school board meeting, or sorry, 3 o'clock, to get ready for the school board forum that is at 3:30. If we run through the questions that I have here to ask you in just less time, and there are questions that were asked or written down during this forum, we'll grab those and we'll pull those in at the end, if we have time. Responses are gonna be capped at 2 minutes to ensure we get through as many questions as possible. It's a 1 hour time allotted event. We may run a little over since we're a little late. Everyone will get an opportunity to answer each question. So we're gonna ask a question, and then everybody gets their turn to answer the same question. So there's no, you get this question and you get a different question. One question, everybody gets an opportunity. Any questions about that at all? No? One question that came in for some clarification before we get started that I wanted to get out so that it was in the open. There's some questions about the potential conflict of interest or legalities having family members as elected officials serving together. So I'll read you a quote that was provided by the Deputy Director of the Iowa League of Cities. So you have that. And this is a quote. So, and I quote, "Simply put, anyone who is eligible for elective office can be elected. Elected official eligibility is established in section 39.27 of the state code. And for city offices, it requires a person to be a resident of the city and an eligible elector, which means they are able to vote, although they do not have to be registered to vote. Family members are allowed to serve on council together, and it's actually somewhat common in our small communities." That's from Mickey Shields, Deputy Director of Iowa League of Cities. So I wanted to get that cleared up before we got started. So we're gonna get started. So the first question, well, it's not really a question. We'll start, if you want to start, if I ask first. Okay. So the question is for everybody, please introduce yourself. Let us know what position you're running for in the upcoming election and what previous community involvement you've had in Urbana or another city that you've resided in. So if you want to go first, you're welcome to go. And we do have microphones to share.
Talk in the microphone, or?
I would just set it down probably.
Okay. I'm James Warnke. I'll be 52 this coming week. Married to my beautiful wife, Regina, and we have 4 kids that are all grown between the ages of 22 and 30. I'm actually running for mayor, just in case somebody doesn't know. I've worked at John Deere for 25 years as an electronics and other hydraulic systems engineer. And then I moved into a global diagnostics project management role. Basically today I own connected diagnostics for all John Deere ag and turf equipment globally. So I've been heavily engaged in Urbana politics over the last year and a half. My main concerns coming in were the rapidly increasing property taxes and the extraordinarily high city bill. I bought my house here in 2014 because I thought it was a really nice town, and a really nice small town. We chose it because it wasn't Cedar Rapids, Waterloo, Hiawatha, Marion. We liked it because it was a small town. It had a nice small town feel. I'm running for mayor because I believe that the citizens should have a say in who's running the city, and the mechanisms that give them that say are elections. And, I lost my place. All right, so Urbana moved to a different form of government 2 years ago, adding a city administrator role as that was a hired position, not an elected one. It's critical to have a strong leader in the role of mayor to be sure that the decisions governing the city are made by the 5 elected council members and the leadership of the mayor. I believe much of the angst in the community over the last year and a half has been because the voters aren't entirely sure who's in charge, which isn't fair to the council, to the mayor, or to the city administrator. I've been heavily engaged in the political process over the last 18 months to push for greater transparency in decision-making and open sharing of information. As the city was not video recording council meetings and making audio recordings readily available without an open records request, I've been live streaming the meetings so more of the community could participate in the process. And there's also a lot more information available now on the city's website, largely because we've been pushing for that. Time. Thank you.
Ready?
All right, I'm Randy Johnson. I've lived in Urbana for just about 24 years now. I have 2 kids. My son Levi's 23, my daughter Leslie's 15. Obviously, I've known a lot of people in this community for a long time. My background is I used to be a sheet metal worker, local 263. Now I'm an IBW worker, local 405. I'm very blue collar. I'm very much, I've just started getting involved with the Lions Club so I can be more involved with our community and try to help out where we can. I want to see our community prosper and grow, and it's nice to be able to walk down the street and get to talk to most of you that I didn't have an opportunity before I got into this position. And I'm also seeking re-election because I won the election back in February for the special election. Good.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm Shane Light. I've actually lived, my wife and I moved here in 2018. I'm actually seeking one of the city council seats that is open for election. I was previously selected by the city council to fill in for an absenteeism for a short time here in Urbana, so I have been on the city council. I've been on my previous, where we lived prior to this, Lisbon, Iowa, similar to Urbana, small town. Been on the fire department, city council, school board, a lot of other open volunteer communities. Coached many years through high school and that's college, but that's kind of what brought us to Urbana. I was the actual head softball coach for a year for CPU. I am definitely looking forward to trying to make this community grow like you did in many other communities that I've lived in. I think this is a great community. We actually looked at moving here while our youngest was still in high school. But other than that, I can't wait to get to know you guys, get to meet people. I've got to know quite a few of you throughout the time that I've been here. But now that I'm officially retired from coaching, I got a lot more time.
Bob?
I'm Bob Ireland, 71, father, grandfather, great-grandfather. When I retired, we started looking for a smaller town instead of Rochester, Minnesota. Urbana fit the bill, They had a library that was gonna open soon. That was 10 years ago. Finally, it's open. The parks are nice. The people are friendly. My wife and I spend an hour or two a day walking around the city, talking to people and petting their dogs. It's a nice little town, and we've been happy living here. I'm running for mayor, so there's only one person running, and he suggested that I needed a job. So I volunteered, so to speak. The background, I'm an engineer. I tend to read instructions, follow them explicitly. I like things to work the way they're supposed to work. I think some of the angst that's going on is because people sometimes want their way, and so will jump the queue, and that's probably not so good when things get passed on. And I think people suffer for that. I'd like to see that change. And so I throw my hat in the ring for mayor. I'd like to serve you.
Corey, same question.
Hi, my name's Corey Schrader. I'm 57. I will be 58 in December. I'm a father of 5, grandfather of 4. U.S. Navy veteran. I fixed cars for 25 years, and now I'm a senior test tech at Collins Aerospace. I'm running because I decided if I was gonna be involved in the community and I didn't like the way something was being run, instead of complaining about it, I'm just gonna stand up and say, I'll do that. I've recently joined the Lions Club and the American Legion. I've been a scoutmaster in the past, or not a scoutmaster, a scout leader in the past, and I've served my community in other ways. I'm just happy to have you vote.
Fair enough. All right.
I'm,
Go ahead.
I'm Carmen Ireland. I'm originally from Rochester, Minnesota. I'm running for city council, because I thought you should run to help the community, and it all needs volunteers. I am the mother of 3, a grandmother of 6, great-grandmother of 8, so, with him. He started though. I have worked for the school system up in Rochester. All these jobs will be Rochester. Worked at IBM for a while. Something else. And I volunteered at our churches there and here. So I've been on the boards, PTA boards there. I like this community because it is small. Rochester is about the same size of Cedar Rapids, and it was getting to be a bit much, especially with the helicopter coming over our house all the time for mail. I like doing things like quilting, which I have a job doing that, a business, and doing puzzles, things like that, just crafty things.
Okay. James, we're gonna kick it back to you. What, in your opinion, what is the role of a council person, or in your case, a mayor candidate? What is your opinion of the role of mayor?
Okay. In my opinion, the mayor is essentially sets the tone for the council. The mayor helps control the agenda and control make sure that everybody gets to keep talking, that nobody, communication doesn't get shut down, that everybody gets to talk. Mayor doesn't actually get a direct vote unless it's a tie, so it's not a voting position. It is just making sure that all the thoughts and ideas are shared openly, and that way you can weigh out the pros and the cons. You can actually try to mitigate the cons and keep all the pros, come up with the best solution that 5 people together can answer. If one person had all the answers and was perfect, then we wouldn't need 6 people between the mayor and the council. So the idea is to make sure that all 5 people in the council get to share their ideas. Hopefully there is disagreement, that way you can actually mesh that out and then figure out what the best solution is for the people that live in
Good, Randy, what's your, opinion of the role of a council person?
First and foremost, as incumbent city council member, my first duty is the people of this town. The people come up and talk to me, they voice their concerns on anything. I'm here to listen to the people of this town. And then I formulate an opinion from that, and we move forward. And then we can sit here as 5 council members, and we can discuss, see if we can agree on something. If not, maybe then I can get my perspective, what I'm seeing, and we can have a formulated conversation, not an argument. And then eventually, if we can get to a point where we all agree, if not, maybe we can table it and come back to that. But the goal is to work together as a group, but we have to listen to our people in the city, because they are who elected us.
Shane?
Yeah, as, one of the city council members, obviously, you have to be able to bring in your opinions, from the community, well, not your opinions, but, get the feedback from the community, get what they want, bring that to the city council, bring that to the mayor, bring that to everyone here, be able to formulate a plan. You have to be able to look at succession planning as far as planning things out, 4, 5, 10 years down the road, trying to set, maybe a future city council, up for success, making the community stronger. Sometimes you do have to make hard decisions, but in that aspect, you have to be able to understand why you're making it, give your explanation. But bringing that to the city council, you have to be your own individual as well. You have to be able to say yes or no, you agree or disagree. That is one thing as a farm kid that I've always grown up to do, is respect. I respect other people's opinions, and I just ask that people respect my opinions. In that aspect, as a city council member, you are the one responsible for the vote. You are going to make decisions for 1,600 people. So you have to take that very seriously. You can't really look outside of that scope. You have to be able to get all the information, make sure the city council has all the information, make sure that the mayor has the information, the administrators have the information, and hopefully you don't miss it. But that's why I think, I definitely have, the facts to be able to dig in and find information as needed.
Bob, what is, your opinion of the role of a mayor?
I believe the mayor is the ultimate person responsible for every one of the citizens. He's someone that they can bring their concerns to, and it includes the council members. And in order to do that job effectively, he has to listen to everybody. He can't insert his own opinions. He needs to balance each one of those concerns, attempt to craft a policy that addresses those concerns and give that policy to the council members with their input to craft a final policy that addresses the best interest of the city as a whole. And then once that policy is created, that policy gets handed to the staff, the city, and they implement it. We don't jump and do things on our own. We're responsible, the city, the residents of the city as our primary job, that's it. Looking out for the city going forward.
Corey?
I see the role of the city councilman to be the voice of the voters, of the people. You're here to represent their interests, their concerns, but at the same time, you get to be the voice of the city back to the people and help them understand why the city has to do things a certain way or another way. It can be hard for the regular citizen to understand the city budget. It's hard for a councilman to understand the city budget sometimes. But I see my job as a city councilman to dig through those numbers and find out what we need to do, what we like to do, and what we should do. And then weigh that with the concerns of my voters and give them feedback as to what do we have available to us and which way that I think we should go, and find out from them which way they think we should go. That is the job of the city council.
Carmen, same question to you.
I was saying this with some of these other people about helping the town grow, following the rules. We the people. We are not I am the people or me as a people. It's we as the people. So all the concerns that you guys have, we need to listen to and help sort out the facts, use our resources, use our chain of command. So if I have a question that's not working, or you have a question that's not working, you need to come to like City Hall and talk to whoever's administrator, see if they have the answers for you, and we need to step up to the mayor if they don't have it, and then reverse it to get our answer. So there's a lot of different opinions about a lot of different things. There's money involved in our stuff that doesn't always work the way we want it to. But we need to sort out those facts so we can say, okay, this is why this got done, and this is why that got done. And try to understand why they're doing what they're doing and staying on the right side of the law. I would like to see the town grow a little bit more. I don't want to see it do a big jump, because then you run into a lot of trouble and people coming in that may give you a lot of trouble. But if you grow slowly, then you know who the problem people are, number one. And like a restaurant, you know how to flow with it and spread those taxes and stuff out.
Okay. James, we're gonna get back to you. Next question is, the city of Urbana has been at the max tax levy rate, and in turn hasn't raised property taxes in well over a decade. If an opportunity presented to grow the community, such as a large business inquiring about relocating here, how would you navigate that? Meaning, I think, how would you fund that, essentially, or that opportunity?
Well, I have no problem with the city growing. I have no problem. Obviously, if a big business came in, that could be great for Urbana, potentially, if it provides jobs for people or shopping opportunities. If it's retail, you could potentially get more loss funds from that. I don't believe, however, that we should actually take money from taxpayers and spend it to bring a business in. I believe that we should remove the impediments that prevent them from coming in. so we can use TIFs, yeah, which I'm not entirely, don't completely understand, but I would like to learn. TIFs, you can actually do some tax abatements and things like that, so maybe we don't increase our tax base as early, but we aren't spending cash that comes from the current residents. We don't want to sell out the current residents of Urbana to try to bring business in. We actually want it to, the town to grow because the business wants to be here. If we make Urbana a great community that is affordable, people will want to come here, businesses will want to come here, and the town will grow simply because it's a great town, not because we're spending money and trying to draw them in or giving them things. That'd be my take.
Randy, same question.
On any potential business that would want to come to Urbana, the first thing we would have to do is sit down with their management, see what needs they want, and see what we as the city can do to help them facilitate to come into our community and help grow. I know Quickstar's been looking at moving here, and that would be a great asset to our community. And I know it would be great to have some restaurants here in town that had some dining options here. We are lucky and fortunate to have a community with gyms here. But as a city, we just have to work with any potential company that wants to come in here and they're looking at potential land. And like you said, TIFs, I don't fully understand that either, but we can offer some kind of incentive for them to come here to make it more enticing. And we have a great location because we're close to the interstate. You can get close, you can hit Waterloo or Cedar Rapids quickly. And I think our community offers a lot more than others around us.
Jake?
Yeah, so depending on like the size of the company, you know, you have a lot of options. You know, as each of us said, you do have a tip. But one of the biggest things you need to start looking at is any type of grants, that allows you to bring more, help those businesses come here. You know, the grants, you know, some people don't quite understand, yeah, they are tax dollars, but the tax dollars that can go to another small community, or you can actually apply for those and get those grants kept here in our community. So that's probably one of the biggest things that I would look at. You know, sit down with their management, as Randy said, sit down with their management, go through possible contracts. How many people do you plan to employ, you know, from our community, from outside of the community? What can you offer anything to bring more amenities to our town? You know, helping with pollination or volunteering for Lions clubs and that type of resources that way. You have a lot of options to actually bring to the table when you are going to have a bigger business try to come to your area. Obviously, you have to look at your zoning. Where are they going to be located? You know, are they going to be close? Are they going to have to expand? And there's a lot of things you really want to take a look at when you do that. So, and you can do it in a slow amount of time, but that's where that succession planning really takes effect. So.
Cool. Bob?
Basically, if they want to move here and they have should we say, a happy population, somebody that wants to work closer to home instead of commuting to Waterloo or Cedar Rapids, and having a good employment base to select from is part of them wanting to come here. As far as financing, tax increment financing, basically you charge them lower tax because they're bringing in more business, and that business brings in more money, so you pay more local and option sales tax, whereas your tax increment financing, you're foregoing some of that tax that they sudden increase in value of their property, and you slowly increase the amount of money that you're taking from them. It's not like you're losing anything, because they wouldn't be here to pay the taxes in the first place. So there's that. But once again, being amenable to providing the zoning, you're taking maybe cropland out of production, so they're gonna have to buy that cropland. There's all the shifting of money, but watching how you benefit from not saying, okay, you just increased our tax base, assessed tax base by $3 million, so we're gonna tax you on it. You say, well, we'll tax you 100,000, and 500,000, and 6, 1 million, 2 million, and so you just slowly increase the taxes that you're getting from them until you're at the full amount. But that gives them impetus to move here out of some place where they would have paid the full rate.
Corey?
So,
So as a city, the city operates on tax money. There's no two ways about it. A big business coming in is gonna bring in a lot of tax money. So we have tools like TIP that we could use to entice those businesses, to give them a tax break that they maybe wouldn't get somewhere else. But there's also concern. We'll have to sit down and find out what kind of business is it? What kind of infrastructure do they need? Are we gonna need to increase the water, how much water are they gonna use? There's a lot of considerations. Controlling the cost of those services and fees can make this town much more attractive to a business than another town would be. So there's a lot of tools that the city council can use. That Shane mentioned grants, James mentioned TIFs. There's other tax breaks that can be given to businesses to entice them here, all without affecting the property taxes of the individual residents of town.
Carmen, same question for you.
There isn't really much left to say, because all these guys do a wonderful job. But I'm also in favor of spreading that tax base out. We don't want the people to have to pay more. So the business has to put out the tax base and maybe raises. And if they do take over like cropland or something, how much is that going to affect the farmers? I know in Minnesota, they've got no cropland hardly left. And it makes a big deal when they do another business that they have to pay the taxes to pay for that cropland or whatever's left. There's now, I'll say, a lot of people here in Iowa. There are more people in the Twin Cities than there are in the whole state of Iowa. So that's why some of the taxes are a little higher here than there. So we need to grow a little bit and help those taxes get spread out. We need to make sure that the city council meets with people so that we don't end up with crap in the water or pollutants on the land and other things that are going to affect the town itself besides taxes. What kind of roads do they need to come in and out? What kind of traffic is going to be there? Do we have enough people to hire so that the money stays here versus jumping out, going to Cedar Rapids or Robert
Okay, we're gonna stick with you, Carmen. You can hold on to that. We're gonna come back around the horn this time. Next question. Social media has become a vehicle for spreading some disinformation and falsities in recent times. As an elected official, how would you keep the community informed of the facts to alleviate confusion and division in the community? And you get to go first.
First of all, you're gonna have to talk to them face to face. Bring up the things like the rules and on paper for rules, ordinances, and stuff like that. That's written down so that we can follow it and not have them jumping from one thing to the next and saying, I heard the water is polluted or whatever, and it's not. So you gotta bring up the proof for that sort of thing. And doing it face to face is actually the best way to hold some of that, because you can't argue with somebody on the, telephone or on the video. It's, or I should say, it's harder, and they can say anything they want without, hitting back. So, we need to keep that at a straight level.
Corey, same question to you.
Social media is an amazing, horrible thing. I can hold up one finger and say, this is one, and I will get 10 people arguing with me how it's not. It's the nature of the beast, and one of the best ways to diffuse things is to put out official information in a place where everybody can easily access it and it's clear. And then you just don't feed the trolls. There's gonna be people arguing, there's gonna be people saying, he said, she said, they did this, they did that. It's gonna happen, and you need to let them just go play in their corner and not engage those people, because all you're doing is dumping gas on the fire. So you put out the official information, you give them a place where they can go reference it, so they can see for themselves what the story is, what happened, or what's gonna happen, and you move on.
To you?
Well, I tend to call social media anti-social media just because of all the hate and discontent that it rouses. If one is going to promulgate information on Facebook, for instance, from the city, then it's probably better off just simply making a factual post with the documentation that's been provided and not allowing random input to, shall we say, argue against it or provide alternate views that are contrary to the facts at hand. The city has a website. I noticed that we probably need to be a little more diligent about making connections within that website and making things easier to find. One almost, you can find some things, but other things are disconnected. They're there, but the actual links to get to them aren't available readily. As where someone will look under a heading and click on it. So going forward, I think the city did a long ways to cleaning up the website, getting links built, getting things in order, to make that information that is actually there readily accessible.
Shane?
Yeah, social media platforms, too many for me to count. I'm not a tech savvy person, and I think, you know, the best way that we can do it as a community is to try and get information that is, you know, the truth out there on the website. You know, unfortunately, there are some things that have, just like the city council has closed sessions for legal entity things that they can't put out there. And I think that's where a lot of things get misread. The assumptions start to grow, and you go from one platform to another platform, and everyone knows kind of the scenario that we're talking about here. You know, as much information as we can get out to the public, you know, without legally getting in trouble or anything like that, we definitely need to try and find a way to get that. Fortunately, you know, with the platforms we have, there are so many. You know, I couldn't even begin to name them all. And then you've got groups among groups among groups, and you can sub through this and Snapchat this and do all this. And, you know, the best way you can do it is just try and get it through your city website. Any information, and if somebody's wanting to know the information, pick up the phone and call. You know, that's kind of what I really do. If I don't know the information, I'm gonna try and call somebody. They can either tell me, yeah, I can tell you that, or I can't tell you that. Or, you know, I can try and find information that I can find really accessible. But, you know, our social media platform, I think if you need to find the right information about the city, we need to start with the city website.
Randy?
Yeah, unfortunately, social media can be two-headed. And often enough, we've witnessed it here lately that it can be bad. And you can address people that maybe they're launching at different individuals or entities. And the best thing you can do is try to give them the most accurate information you can. But I know one thing for sure, oversharing information, the website, and a city Facebook page, and even possibly bringing back the city newsletter, giving out that information, because we do have an elderly community, not all of them have the internet or have Facebook, and God rest their souls, thank God they don't. You see some stuff that would probably gross them out, but that's how you do that. You overshare information that is critical to what we're discussing, then you kind of negate those social media posts where people are like, wow, such and such. If you overshare, they can actually look at the information that kind of nips that in the bud.
A lot of what they said, benefits get to go last this time. Basically, social media can be a great thing and a bad thing, and really the only cure for bad information is more information. Everybody should actually be allowed to talk. The biggest problem with social media is that it's not personal, and so people just, you kind of build up the person that you think you're fighting against as evil, and then you argue against that evil. We all do it. It's too easy to escalate things and get really animated and think that they're just awful. In reality, you just disagree about something. And most of the time, what we're disagreeing, we all agree that we want to make Urbana great. We just sometimes disagree about how to get there. Maybe we disagree about exactly what makes it great, but ultimately, social media can be an issue. If I get elected as mayor, I'm probably going to stay more off of social media because you know, if you're representing the city as mayor, you shouldn't get kind of mired down in some of the local arguments. But basically, as Randy said, bring back the city newsletter so that the people that aren't on social media get the same information that you put out. So we're putting out the newsletter and updating the website. We can share the information, but also ultimately radical transparency. Basically, just be transparent with everything. If you're not hiding anything, if it never looks like you're hiding anything, people will be a lot more comfortable. And then also, as mayor, I would also set up open office hours so that anybody can come in during those hours. I guess I'd like to hear from everybody. I wouldn't want to actually just be the mayor and feel like I'm just sitting on my throne dictating things. I want to hear from everybody so that I can keep everybody informed, but more personally.
Carmen, we're gonna go back to you for the next one, and we'll run that this way again. This question is about the library. The library provides programs from preschool story time to senior outreach. If elected, would you support the continued growth and successes of the library, yes or no? And if yes, Do you have any suggestions to share?
My answer is yes. Suggestions is maybe, and you have to get people to cooperate first, but, opening it up for things like sewing or quilting, maybe more reading programs for most of the adults. Because right now they have a lot of wonderful things for the children, especially in the summer, which is great for the kids. They don't lose their, education during the summer because all they do is play. They're continuing it on, which helps them in school to keep it growing. They don't fall behind so bad. So yes, I am very much in favor of that, the library.
Corey, same to you.
My answer on that is yes, I absolutely support the library. I think it's a wonderful community resource. And I do believe that the library director is doing a good job running that library. I have nothing but praise for what I've seen in the library. And I absolutely would support the city continue funding the library at whatever level that is. You know, it's a great resource and it's a real asset to the community. So yes, I would definitely support city's support of the library and continued growth.
I'm in favor of the library and the park system. I think our children growing up, if we make them sense that they're part of the city by being able to go to the library, having the library here as opposed to, say, having to go to Denton or Centerpoint to check out a book kind of kills that spontaneity. Having the library here is something that they can do with their friends. They can do educational programming during the summer when they're out of school, and it's a group, fun, informal education. They're learning things, and it keeps them from finding, shall we say, interesting things to do, and vandalism is kind of a strong word, but misbehaving in public kind of falls by the wayside when they have something interesting to do. And for the older generation, we go over and meet there on Friday mornings. It's kind of interesting, only having been here 10 years, to hear about things that happened 50 and 60 years ago. It's just amazing that this community is just continuing on, and all the people that have lived here and the things they've seen and the things that have gone on here. I definitely support the library.
Okay.
Yeah, the library, 100%, I'm 100% behind supporting the library. With the programs that they've already brought in the short time that it's been open, it's been amazing. You know, listening and hearing, you know, how the summer reading program has over 100 kids. In that, you know, that was actually more than what we had in our whole high school, growing up. You know, just to hear that, I mean, that is huge. You know, any other, you know, suggestions that I would make, you know, just keep trying to promote, keep doing the small community stuff. I think there's, next week there's, you know, in conjunction with the Library and Lions Club, there's, you know, trunk or treat, you know, things that involve both adults and the kids. You know, any other type of programs that you can actually get both adults and kids, I think is fabulous. It brings another amenity to, you know, attracting people to come here. You know, businesses to come here. It just increases that. So 100% behind keeping that library funded.
All right, my stance on the library, it's great. I love it. I I know 15 years ago when my son was going through school, he'd come home from school, and go, Dad, I got an internet project. I'm like, all right, let's get in the car and drive to Center Point. And that was, the 10-minute drive there, and then you spend the time at that library. I think the location is great where the library is. It's very centralized for the town, but you're right there by the park. It's a great location. And actually, I was gonna talk with Carrie eventually. I was just going through my house and I found a bunch of educational books I would like to donate to them. So,
Dave?
I'm pro-library. I think it's a great resource for the city. It is nice having it here in town versus in Center Point. I know it's gonna be evolving a little bit. They have been building that, so if funding changes, it'll be because the needs of the library are changing. And I see no problem with that. I'd like to see it get probably more utilized as a resource to the community. I know that the school schedule sometimes can cause a lot of problems for parents. When school gets out early, when school starts late, if we could somehow leverage the library to assist parents more with that fluctuating time schedule of things that would help the parents of Urbana, that would give, I guess, the library an even greater opportunity to serve. I do agree that the computers are a good resource also for people that don't have internet, don't have a computer, if anybody's unemployed. Everything's online now, so the library is a great source for that, and I'm all for it.
All right, I'm gonna stick with you and go back the other way. What are some things that you'd like to see in our community that we don't currently have, that would benefit residents and ultimately long-term growth? The ever favorite amenities question.
Well, obviously, dining resources are a little bit limited here in Urbana, unless you, of course, barbecue. I'm sure we have plenty of people here in town that are pretty good at cooking. We have to be because we don't have a lot of restaurants here in town. A good restaurant would be really nice here. Dollar General's been a nice addition to actually have some place to shop. So we already have 2 Casey's, so we don't necessarily need more of that. I don't know that the city should necessarily be paying to bring anything like that in, but I think the city should try to remove any impediments. If we can attract in a nice restaurant, if there's anything the city can do without costing taxpayers dollars. I know a lot of people that live here would like to have more options for eating, and that's probably the biggest thing. I think our parks have been built up, so we've done a lot of nice work with the parks just lately. So really, probably dining is the biggest thing.
Randy?
I've talked with several people in the community, and I would like to try to establish a food truck night, where we have a consistent night, once a week, where we bring in a food truck from different food vendors, maybe even 2, and they can advertise on their page, and we advertise on our page, and then we can bring more people from, that might follow those food trucks into our community, and then they can go check out our library, go to our parks, and just kind of, and maybe even visit jams and see our community, and maybe we could potentially have people that want to move here.
Okay.
Yeah, I would really like to see, one of the first things that when we moved here was definitely kind of what they, here was a lot of, or more facilities for dining a little bit. Just gives you a little bit better option. Doesn't have to be a huge restaurant or anything like that. Just a nice small cafe. Being able to dress up, downtown a little bit more might help bring some of those, nice little spots on the downtown street, for a cafe. And then you also got, the jams area, where we could actually start looking at, you have downtown, you have uptown. Being able to expand and kind of help slowly grow right through there. Bring in more businesses that way. Little shops, you have the Miss Shop there, which is a great place. My wife likes to go there quite a bit. You know, but just things like that. You said, I don't think you need to go, like, we don't need 100 of them, but I would say, you know, one or two, start small. Maybe another smaller cafe, coffee shop, or donut shop, or bread shop, or, you know, a lot of things. I know we have the farmer's market, kind of build off of that.
Bob?
Could you repeat?
Yes.
I think I missed some of the middle.
Nope. So what are some things that you would like to see in our community that we don't currently have that would benefit residents and ultimately long-term growth?
Well, like they said, perhaps another restaurant or a food truck. But with the number of miles around this town I walk, I noticed that most of the sidewalks that used to be sidewalks are no longer sidewalks. And I know that the people probably can't afford to address those sidewalks. So I would like to set off to the side small amounts of money so that we can incrementally repair those sidewalks so that the kids can ride lights up the sidewalks, walk on the sidewalks, instead of being out in the street, because I get worried about the kids on scooters that are getting hit by a car. That would probably be one of the deals. I like the playground equipment that they put in, things like that. It makes the city more livable with parks and stuff like that. I think that would probably be one of the things that I would push for, but not hard. I mean, people gotta want it.
Corey?
Obviously, we all know that this town has very limited resources for dining. God love the ozone, but not, you don't always want to sit in the bar. I think one of the big things this town could use is we got some really nice parks. We've got the nature trail. We've got a lot of nice things for kids, little kids to do. But once they get that middle school, high school age, there's not a lot in this town for those kids. I mean, could we have a place that had some video games, a pool table in it that the kids can go to? Somewhere for them to hang out. It's a, you know, you make a mint selling pizza at a place like that. You know, pizzas, hot dogs and hamburgers and Cokes, you know, and just sit, you'd have to set some strict rules for them, but that's the kind of place I'd like to see come to town. Somewhere that families can go, there's something for the kids to do, and still something for the adults to do. They can sit and watch the ball game on the big screen while the kids are playing video games in the pool. We need a facility like that, or a restaurant like that, or a community, something that the kids that are, not the little kids playing on the swing set, and not the kids, once they get their driver's license, you might as well forget it, they're just gonna be on the road. So we need, but those kids in between, there's nothing here for them. And I'm really surprised we don't have more trouble than we do. Carmen?
I agree with the, food thing, dining is, would be nice to have a little more dining, even if it's really small. And the sidewalks, because Bob and I walk a lot, they are in terrible shape, some of them, some are really good. The other thing I would like to see is small businesses, like, that trustworthy, Ace Hardware store, where we can get some nails or hammers instead of having to run to Cedar Rapids or Waterloo to go get those supplies. Again, it doesn't have to be big, just some basic stuff. Also with those small businesses, you would have a place for some of the older kids to get a job. So that would help keep them from running either way and staying out of trouble. They had something to do besides looking for trouble. So that keep the vandalism down.
So it's 3:03. I know we got a late start, and believe it or not, you guys kind of melded some of these other questions together, as far as grants and different things and your guys' stances on those. So, I think if you guys are okay with it, we'll run into closing statements and closing comments from everybody. Does that work for everybody? Okay, James, let you run first and wrap up your closing statements and comments.
Okay, I guess, ultimately, I guess I'm hopeful for the opportunity to try to make some positive changes in Urbana. I don't believe that anybody up here or anybody that has run for council in the past has ever had bad intentions. I think everybody here is a good person. Ultimately, it's just a matter of trying to choose the people that you want to lead the community for the next 2 years. Mayor's, it's a short term. You get to choose, and if you don't like the job that the mayor's doing, 2 years later, you can vote for somebody else. So ultimately, I guess I would like that opportunity to try to actually do some good things here in Urbana. Fully supporting, obviously, the fire department and hopefully bring back the police force. Thank you.
Ready?
Well, as council member seeking reelection, I've only been here a short term, and I would love to be able to work with the community and extend that and go into the next couple years and work with the city council and potential mayors coming up and working with the fire department and possibly ambulance service and eventually bringing back the police department. It has been a pleasure working with the community so far, and it has been an honor to talk to you in person.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone for, setting this up, this alliance too. Yeah, I definitely would like to, seek the vote for the city council. I don't take any of those seats, in decisions lightly. With some of the questions that you guys had, asked today, with facts of the social media, the library, what we need, what we want to try and do. Everybody has a viewpoint, and trying to get all those viewpoints put together in one, put a succession plan together, and make sure that, we are successful, making sure everything's double checked, rechecked. As far as trying to grow, growing isn't a bad thing, it's actually a very good thing. To bring people here, you're gonna actually get more, is what we're asking, looking at the grants, looking at a lot of those things, the tips. So I am definitely, keeping, to help out, wherever I can. I've been a volunteer for many years, so, I just hope to get support.
Bob?
Offered to volunteer as mayor, I see myself being retired. I have more time to listen to people, talk to people. If you're willing to talk to me, I'll listen. Tend to be a problem solver, so if you think there's a problem, at least there's some way of moving forward on that. If you're not finding satisfaction talking to staff or your neighbor, then, there's someone in City Hall that will listen to you. And I welcome this opportunity to serve you.
First, I'd like to thank the Lions Club and the city. The Lions Club for putting this on and the city for giving us the space to do it. All I can do is ask for your vote. I got my vision for this city. I want to see it grow. I want to see it thrive. and I want to see it stay a small town. How you grow and stay a small town. Small town's about attitude, not about size. You know, this is a very friendly community, and that was one of the biggest things when we moved here. We had a police department and a fire department right here in the middle of town. You can feel safe. You can feel safe living here. And that's what I would like to bring that back.
Carmen?
I would like to also thank the Lions and the City Hall for inviting us and for this up. I am in favor of the town growing, and I think we have the possibilities of growing without damaging our friendliness and that sort of stuff, and working together, listening to all you, because like I said before, we the people, not I the people, or me the people. So we need to remember that, follow the rules, and just grow.
Okay, well, in closing, like I said at the beginning, I'm certain that everybody that's up here at these tables, would be willing to take any questions that either didn't get answered, asked, or otherwise, outside the parking lot, so everybody can get ready for the next forum. Hopefully, everybody felt that this was a fair and balanced forum, and everybody had an opportunity to answer the questions. Go ahead, Ray.
And I would like to thank you for moderating.
Absolutely, you're absolutely welcome. And good luck to everybody in the upcoming elections. Meeting adjourned.